So when we think about a traumatic event, we think about events like 9/11 or Katrina, events where people all around the world responded immediately and help was provided to those who were affected. But what about the everyday tragedies and the survivors of those events? Like, for instance, after a mother of 4 died in an emergency hospital, after her family felt pressured by busy hospital staff into choosing a mortuary, they still, even now, regret that decision. And this, along with many other stories like it, are what the volunteers at the Trauma Intervention Program of America hear on a daily basis. The Trauma Intervention Program of America, otherwise known as T.I.P or T.I.P, is a nonprofit organization made of volunteers trained to help to step in and provide emotional and practical support for the victims of the event and just provide the security and protection that they need. So in this presentation, I will explain the purpose of T.I.P, the mission, and who the program aims to help. I'll give a brief history of who and why it was founded, and also talk about its funding and how those funds are distributed. So I'll talk about its purpose. One of the major reasons for TIP or T.I.P is to prevent something known in the mental health profession as the second injury. And the second injury scenario is a victim's perspective after a traumatic event that the first responders of the event didn't provide any kind of support that they actually needed during that time. But the fact is that first responders just don't have that kind of resource to adequately, take the time to provide that kind of support. So this is where T.I.P steps in, and they provide the immediate protection and the security, the practical needs that they need. Because most of the time victims are just confused and just don't know how to adequately prepare for a situation like that. And just understanding this program gives an idea of what they aim to accomplish. And now I'll talk about the program's founder and how long it's been a most invaluable organization. So it was founded by Wayne Thornton in 1985. At the time, he was a licensed mental health professional in San Diego, California. At the time, he had a lot of accounts from clients and even first responders who felt ignored by the system. So that gave him the idea to conceive T.I.P. And since then, it's been a highly successful organization. It's won many competitions in innovation and awarded a $100,000 award to replicate its own services around the nation. So that's why it's pretty much in every state. This includes Prescott, Arizona. It was founded in the year 2000 and has over 50 highly trained volunteers at this point who volunteer and respond 24/7. So now I'll just talk about its funding and how those funds are distributed here in Prescott. Since it's a non-tax, tax-exempt organization, the services are free of charge to any victim, and this is all made possible through grantors and foundations and fundraisers. So, and some of the grantors in Prescott include the Kiwanis Club of Prescott, Yavapai County Community Foundation, and the Jewish Community Foundation of Greater Prescott. They donated a $2,800 grant to the program to provide vests for the volunteers responding, who respond to like high-risk situations and just to protect themselves. Fundraisers are also a major contributor. An event was held recently in 2015 at the Elks Opera House, and all the proceeds were donated to T.I.P. And although I couldn't find an exact how much they earned, it added a lot to its overall revenue. And at the end of 2015, the National Center for Charitable Statistics put up a revenue result for T.I.P. And according to them, they received a $156,597 in total revenue, which for the program is pretty good. These funds are being distributed throughout T.I.P. and for its benefits in program services and enhancements for the volunteer staff. This is all in an effort to keep the organization going, to keep it supportive and as available to victims as possible. And before I answer any of your questions, I'd like to remind some of the key points in the presentation. You've learned about the purpose of T.I.P., its mission, and who they aim to help, the history of the foundation in the United States and in Arizona, and lastly, how the funds are made and distributed throughout the program. So, traumatic events happen every day to everyday people, and they do mean something to those who are experiencing them. It can be overwhelming and uncertain. This is where T.I.P. is meant to step in and help those families provide the security and, like I said, just the emotional and practical support that they just need at that time. And that, you know, they're desperate, basically. Now that I've done this presentation and done the research on it, I now have a really good understanding of how to respond myself to any kind of situations like that. It's also kind of inspired me to look into future volunteering options for that. And I hope that this has also informed and inspired you as well to look into it a little bit more. And so, thanks for listening. I'll take your questions.
I have one.
Okay.
How do you, like, you have an event, how do you find out about it? That
They
you're
have a
at the
website.
hospital?
They have a website, tipofaz.org.
Oh, so you have to go to a website to find
Yeah,
it?
and then
Oh,
there's a, like, adopt a
Oh,
volunteer or
Okay.
a fund.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, do the police call tip volunteers to respond, like, to an
Yeah,
accident
police
scene?
can be
or-
called, or
suicide.
police call, you know, firefighters, just anyone who's there first, I imagine. Yeah.
Would this be appropriate for, like, my nephew Tyler was just in that terrible accident. He's in the hospital and he clearly has been traumatized emotionally and having to make decisions and in pain. Would this be appropriate for someone that would be able to help him guide through some of those emotions, or?
For sure, the emotions and
Okay.
just, whatever
Maybe what the next step
medical or, yeah, or,
Okay.
yeah.
And is this program in California also, do you know?
I would imagine. I mean, that's where Thornton is from.
That's where he
Oh,
started.
okay.
So,
Oh, duh.
so that's where it started.
Right, yeah.
So,
Okay,
I would imagine it's pretty.
okay, excellent.
So volunteers respond at all hours
Yeah,
of the day?
Well, they
and
have
night?
to.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's great service. I'm
Yeah.
sure it's
Yeah.
well appreciated.
Yeah. Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you so
I
much.
enjoyed that.
Thank you
Oh,
for
wait,
listening.
wait. Another
Oh.
question.
What did you call it again? It's
The-
your organization or?
Yeah, Trauma Intervention Program of America, or T.I.P.
Trauma intervention.
Yeah.
And the acronym is TIP.
Yeah, it just sounds kind of like Masonic. Something about it. I'm sure it isn't. But
Yeah.
some of the basic ideas
Yeah.
that you mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, I think everywhere just needs a program like this because there are so many little tragedies or events in people's lives that just you need help on. And you know, whether it's a suicide or just unexpected death, I mean, people just don't know what to do, and you can get that kind of help.
Really?
That brings, do they also offer their services like to police and fire? Because they're the ones that,
I believe so. It's more to like victims, but I
Yeah,
would
but,
imagine that
you know, 'cause
they do
sometimes
help
police and fire gotta see some pretty
for
bad
sure.
stuff.
Yeah.
And it's true. I mean, when these first responders are on the scene, they're taking that person to the hospital or interviewing witnesses or taking care of the scene. And so the other person that's there just,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
Must
I was
be
reading
really-
one account, and it was this
Yeah.
woman whose son
Well, they need
committed
help,
suicide,
too.
oh,
and she had to clean up because she didn't know who to help, and then the first responders, I guess, didn't know either, or just got the body out and had to leave right then. So.
So how does TIP, what's their process to make first responders aware that they exist so that they can be called? Do you know, I mean, do they have?
I mean, they probably have just like initial program that just says they're available, tells the responders that, you know, call this number right now or when you get there so we can help these people.
I was at a presentation for TIPS several years
Okay.
ago, and yeah, the first responders are trained that this is an option, and they really appreciate it because they've got these very emotional people at an accident scene or some event, and these TIP responders do so much to calm the situation.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
How did you find out about it? How did this come up?
Well, I had to do research for an informative, charitable organization, and I was open to a few options, but I felt like the trauma intervention program was pretty noble, and in what they do. So I think learning more about it is just a good idea in general. So.
Now,
I have a question. Is there an average time when a TIP responder is on scene? How long they're there? Or does that just vary
It
on the
depends
event?
on how soon they're called, but usually within the first few hours of it happening,
Yeah.
if not sooner. Well, thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.